Welcome to part 2 in the series about making jumps easier, those stratospheric kind of jumps that you need to do that make us pretty nervous, pretty on edge, right? So the first part was about linking words together. This part 2, is about landing those bottom notes. So what we tend to do is focus even before we get there. Sometimes lines and lines before we get there, we focus on that big mountain of a note. We're obsessed with it. All we can think about is that, right? And what I'm saying here is we need to focus on the note as we sing it. So those bottom notes, whatever the bottom note is, that is the jump, the platform with which we jump off, those need to be solid. And often we're kind of half-assing those bottom ones because we're really thinking about the top one. So I'm going to demonstrate this on Defying Gravity. It's a little bit here. Tell them how I am defying gravity. I'm flying high, defying gravity. So, tell them is the important part here. Usually, because we're thinking about the how, we don't really land the tell them. And so they're kind of on shaky ground. We're, as I said, half-assing the energy. Tell them, right? There's not the clarity in it. There's not the energy in it. Tell them how, and then we try to launch into that bigger note. And there's this huge gap between energy. And where do we think that we're going to get that from? Where we get that from, I am going to tell you about in another part of this series. But this is what I want you to think about, is sing each note as it happens. So think about when you have a karaoke track and it either highlights or has like a little bouncy ball on each word as you are singing it. This is an exercise in presence, as an exercise in focus. So I like to encourage my students to have the lyrics in front of them and actually read each word as it's happening to not get distracted and jump to that higher mountain of a note, the Everest of a note, right? So if we're half-assing the tell them how, and then we have that real kind of launch into the how. If I can land tell them in a similar quality that I want to deliver the how, my energy is already there. So the way that I'm thinking about this in this song particularly, it's already very declarative. So I'm declaring the tell them, and then I'm adding this kind of wail quality to get into the how. And again, we will talk a little bit about that in subsequent parts. But for now, I'm thinking declare, wail, right? But I'm not thinking, tell them doesn't really matter. So I'll do that again for you. Tell them how I am defying gravity. I'm flying high, defying gravity. So those little launch pads are so important because it means that our voice is grounded and then we go, rather than, oh my gosh, I don't have this and I've got to punch this out of nowhere. So partly it is physiologically helpful and partly it's also like mentally or emotionally helpful because you feel like you've got solid footing before you need to go for that bigger jump. So let me know in the comments below, has this helped you? Are there songs that you are working on that you can try this out? And if so, please leave a comment below with what it feels like for you. As I said in the last video, I hope that it makes it more fun. That is incredibly important because these notes, when we hear the singer do them in the songs that we love it. We're so excited by this jump. But when we go to do it, that's when we start to panic and all of the self-doubt comes up. So that is what these tips are for, is to iron that out, give you tools and ideas and approaches to make this feel a little bit safer, a little bit more possible for you, because it 100% is. So I hope that this was useful. If it was, please leave a comment below. I love to hear from you. Share it with your friends and make sure you are subscribed so that you are alerted when part 3 drops. Have a great week.